All right, we are going to be building our plyo box today. So this is a 16 on the short side, or sorry, 16 is this side, 20, 24. So shorter than our normal 20, 24, 30 boxes, but this is going to be made out of 5 2x4s, so lighter, cheaper. It's about $25 to make. So the main items here are we have a cut list, and I'll put it in the description below. But essentially, we are building 2 sets of frames, adding legs to bring them up to height, adding some blocking so that we can screw the side panels into, adding that top, adding another side, adding the final side. So our cut list is going to be 10 21-inch cuts. So that is going to end up being everything along this section. These are all 21 inches. And there is one in the back, right here. 10 21-inch cuts. Then you have 6 20-inch cuts, which is these 4 plus these 2 back here. Then you have 4 14.5-inch cuts, and those are these internal pieces. And then you have blocking cuts that go in between them, which is 2 10-inch cuts. Depending on how you orient the legs, these may be 14-inch cuts, your choice later on. So the way that we're going to assemble this is we're first going to build the frame. So this is 24 by 20. The 21-inch leg goes inside the 20-inch blocks, making 24 inches on one side, 20 inches vertical. Build that twice. After that, you'll attach the legs. These legs are 1.5 inches inset on one set and flush on the other. Add our blocking, and this is so that the boards have a place to rest when we put boards inside of this. Then you're going to put on one side, and these 20 inches. Then you're going to put the top on, which is 21 inches, and you'll note that these are actually overhanging, like they don't come all the way to the edge. That's fine. This is actually more ideal so that if your floor isn't completely even, it won't rock on that point. And then finally, we will fill in that side with those 21 inches. These 21 inches, you may end up having to chop them a little under 21 inches depending on how much the screws have kind of compressed the frame, but pretty easy to do after the fact. I'll jump into the build video next. All right, we're gonna build that box. Time lapse it real quick. First, just gonna go over some of the items. So, talked about a cut list before. Essentially, this is what we're looking at. One 2x4 that's 8 feet long is 96 inches. So we have 21, 21, 21, 21, 10 on a board. Then we're going to repeat that again. Then you have 20, 20, 20, 20, 14.5 on a board. Last board is 21, 20, 20, 14.5, 14.5. And then you have your fifth board for a final 14.5 inch cut. So you should be able to cruise through these pretty quick. What's up, buddy? So I'm going to measure them out, cut them up, and we'll slap them together. Eye protection, nice, or is required. Ear protection, if you're using a saw, pretty good idea. Our materials today, we've got 2.5 inch GRK screws. They're about $12 a box. 100 should get us through everything. I might need to add a couple extras at the end from another pack. Like these screws, driver, and then you can do all of this with a standard handsaw, but that's going to take some time. So I am going to use our chop saw, but that's just because I got that. You could absolutely do this with hand tools. Well, with the exception of you'll need a drill to drive screws. You could build this with a hammer and nails. If you're doing that, make sure you use ring shank, the ones that have ridging on the nails, so that they don't back out on you. since most nails aren't used to the dynamic load of someone jumping on it all the time. GRKs are the number 9s. Those are more than sufficient for this. They're rated for 481 pounds of shear force, I believe. So we're not going to exceed that. Yeah, let's get started. I'm going to set you up over here. I guess you also probably need a tape measure. So if you have no way to measure something, this would be very challenging. All done. Eyes and ears, and let's get cutting. And as you go along, just make the piles, and if anything's not that super, like, dimensionally the same from one to the other, you can use that spare board if you need to make another cut. Like that, you got your wood. So the next thing we're going to do is assemble those two frames. They use the 20 and the 21 inch box. If you have something that's square, you can use that as a reference surface to make things nice and square. Well, let's start with building those frames. So your 21 inch piece is going to be inside your 20 inch piece. And then from here, we're going to screw from the top 2 screws into the top of here. What's really helpful is if you have clamps, either spring-loaded or these type, you can make this square before you install those screws. So I'll be doing that. I have a flat tabletop to work on. You can do this on the ground as well. So when you complete your frame, there's a good chance it might not be completely level, right? So this is overhanging a bit. So install one side and then squeeze or press the other side into the dimension you want when you screw it in. One frame done. On to the next. Two frames. Just taking a quick look. They look pretty good. Alright, next thing is those vertical risers. So the easiest way to do this is going to be take one of the frames and attach it flush. So at the bottom, one side will be completely flush inside, and you're going to screw this direction through this guy. Alright, now that that's done, we're going to put on the other part of the frame. However, you need to space it 1.5 inches. The easiest way to do that is actually to space it with the boards you're going to be putting there. So in this case, we will put, well, kind of out of order, that frame. We'll orient it this way. This guy inside of it. Grab those 21-inch pieces. Actually, just to make it easier, we'll grab the 20s. That looks good. As a drop bit. Okay. Alright, we have our frame for our top and our sides. So, at this point, it would be a really good time to measure and make sure the dimensions are right. If they're off, you can always unscrew it, but a lot less work to fix it if they're off. Now, if you measure it. Alright. So, the next section is just spacing the parts. So, I made a mistake. However, it should be pretty easy to fix. So, I put these against the 24-inch side, and ideally they're supposed to be against the 20-inch side so that that 10-inch blocking goes in the middle. However, I'm just still going to screw in the 10-inch blocking here, and I'll just use a piece of wood to space it. So, I'm going to quickly do the 10-inch runs in the middle. So in this case, just looking at this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that extra board I have and cut some extra pieces. So in this case, that new dimension would be 14 inches. Yep, checks out. So I'm actually going to cut them a little bit shy, 13 3/8. So for that 10-inch blocking, you probably could have secured this with 3 of the screws, but since this is a little bit longer, I'm just going to put 4 on the back. So one thing I'm noticing is I have about 1/8 of an inch of play from side to side. My floor isn't completely flat, but on my flat surface, there's a slight amount of play. So some of that could be because the lumber isn't perfectly straight. Hopefully that comes out as we put pressure on it and lock everything into place with that final pieces. Another thing I'm noticing is the 21-inch pieces that go inside, because of the screw pressure pulling the parts in, they're just a tad oversized, so I'm going to slice these just a little bit thinner. Probably taking 1/8 of an inch off. I seem to have lost a 21-inch piece. We'll figure that out in a bit. So when putting these on, you're going to want to just, they're not going to fill up the cavity completely. So there's going to be some spaces, so just space them evenly. Ideally, you want to put 2 screws in each connecting point on each side. However, depending on how many screws you got, you may find that you don't have that many. I have plenty of cabinets full of them, so I'll be going with that. You could opt to put in 1 per side at this point because these aren't structural, but would recommend 2. Little chunky. We'll see if it works. So this final top piece, you have 2 ways you can screw. You can screw in from the outside into the board, or you can screw down the board into the support. I'm going to do down the board into the support. done. Let's see what the total time was. 52 minutes, start to finish. Not bad. Pretty good afternoon project. Total cost of materials is about $15 for the 5 2x4s. They're about $3 a pop. And $12 for the box of screws. So, and I think I ended up with about 20 leftover screws. So, one box of GRK number 9, 2.5 inches, no problem. Well, see you guys later.